What is up, everyone? It's Henry Weigel with Android Guys, and today we're taking a look at the first 10 minutes of Need for Speed No Limits. This is the newest Need for Speed game that's out on Android. I've played this game for just a couple of minutes to make sure I had all the content downloaded before making the video. The download from the Play Store actually isn't too bad. It's just under 800 megabytes, and when you compare that to some of the other racing games out there that can top 1 or 2 gigabytes, the download size is nothing to complain about at all. When you start the game for the very first time after the download, you're going to be met with a splash screen that's saying it's looking for additional content to download. But on my device, I never saw this content at all. In fact, the file size remained exactly the same as what I had downloaded from the Play Store. Since then, I've never been prompted that it's looking for extra downloadable content again. But this is good because it's kept the file size under 800 megabytes. As you can see at the very beginning of the game, we're thrown straight into a race without any sort of splash screen for controls, and that's because controls are actually given in-game. First control up is steering, and since this is a racing game, steering is fairly important. The default is touch to steer, which is where you touch the left and right sides of your device to turn in that direction. But we can take a second and hop into the pause menu and take a look at some of the other ways to control your car. In the pause menu during game, you can turn music and sound effects on or off, and you can switch between the 3 modes for controlling your car: the default touch to steer, or tilt to steer, or even virtual steering. Since I'm not too good at racing games, I'm going to keep it on touch to steer so that hopefully I can stay off the walls and maybe show you what this game's meant to do. I'm on the Nexus 6, and it doesn't have any hardware keys, so the only way for me to access the pause menu is to either hit that super tiny pause button at the very top middle, or swipe in from the right and hit the back button. Both of these require you to take your hands off of the controls and search for something that's very difficult to hit. During a race, this could definitely cause you to wreck, or at least cause you to lose. I kind of wish they'd move that pause button over to one of the corners and make it bigger so it's easier to hit during game. The next and the last control that is given to you is swipe up to activate nitrous. This one actually can't be changed in the menu or anywhere else in the game. So I hope you like swiping up to activate it, because there's absolutely no way to change it. This little cutscene here is going to give me a great time to talk about the graphics of this game. In short, they're okay. I mean, they're not amazing, they're not going to blow your mind, they don't set a new level of graphic standards for racing games. But that being said, they're not bad either. In fact, I've heard a couple of people compare them to PS1 graphics, and I'd have to agree. It's nothing bad, but it's nothing great either. On the Nexus 6, you're going to see some pixelation, you're going to see some boxiness on some of the curves, as you can see right there. But overall, graphics are okay, and it's definitely playable. Keeping the graphics at not the highest resolution possible means that not only does this game get to stay relatively small at only 800 megabytes, but that means gameplay is super smooth. On my Nexus 6, I have seen absolutely zero lag or frame drops during races, and there's no latency between touching the screen and my car turning. The same can be said for both tilt to steer and virtual steering as well. As you can see right under our nitrous bar, we're getting money for completing different things. You get money for avoiding roadblocks, airtime, perfect launches at the beginning of races, and also near misses, plus drafting. All of that we'll see later in an actual race in-game. Right after this cutscene, we're going to be taken into the garage, and there we'll be able to look and see how you build and upgrade your cars. Right now, we're going to roll into the garage, have a little bit of dialogue, where it's going to introduce a little thing called blueprints. Marcus and Kim here are going to talk about blueprints like I just mentioned a second ago. Kim asks Marcus to pony up the blueprints that he promised, and he gives you 3 blueprints to build your very first car. In order to build cars and get new cars, you actually have to collect blueprints from races. And if you get 3 blueprints for the same car, you can build that car in your garage. At the very beginning, everyone gets the same 3 blueprints for the Subaru BRZ. At the bottom, it tells you how common what you got was, and you can see that the orange bar at the very top right says new car available. Whenever you've collected all 3 blueprints for a certain car, you'll get that new car available symbol. We're going to hop into the car selection and take a look at just how many cars there are to create. There are a ton. Whenever you have one that can be built, it's going to look something like what the Subaru BRZ logo looks like right here. We can tap on that, it'll say new car complete, and then it'll take us to a little showroom with some pictures of the car, along with some specs like your top speed, your acceleration, and your nitro. We can hop out of there and then discuss upgrading your car a little bit. Kim's going to come in here and introduce you to her friend Tyler, who's a mechanic that can help you upgrade your car. And Tyler's going to say that you don't have any materials. Materials are what you're going to be using to upgrade your car, and you can get them from competing in and winning races in the underground. In fact, when you win a race in the underground, you're guaranteed to get some sort of material. This introduces us to the underground. This right here is the map with all the different places you can go as you get better and better at the game. Hopping into the underground, we're going to go up against our first actual race in the game and see exactly what that looks like. Here we meet Dwayne, who's a rider in the Joyriders, who's challenging us to a race. When you click on a race, you're going to see this sort of screen right here. At the very bottom left, it tells you how many rep points you're going to get. Rep points can be used to raise your reputation level, and the higher your reputation level, the higher performance parts you're going to get to upgrade your car. On the right, there's your guaranteed reward of a material. In this case, it's a flywheel to upgrade the engine in our Subaru. Clicking on Car Select is going to bring up every car that you have available to use. Right now we only have the Subaru, but as you play more and you get more blueprints and build more cars, every car that you have built will be available here. This is going to bring up something that most people aren't going to be too happy to hear. Racing in this game is not unlimited. Right next to where it says Race Easy, you can see a gas pump and the number 2. Up at the top right, there's a gas pump and 10 out of 10. What this means is that every race is going to cost you so many gallons of gas, and when you run out of gas, you either have to wait for it to refuel, or you have to pay gold to refuel your tank now. It's not great, but we can talk about ways that you can refuel your tank right after this race. We'll jump into our first race here, and one thing that you'll notice, and one of the biggest complaints that I've read about for this game, is that races are just too dang short. You just gave up 2 gallons of your 10 gallons of gas, and right now I'm going to tell you this race lasts for under 40 seconds. And from the races that I've seen, that's about normal. At the beginning, you're going to have to launch your car. The object is to keep the needle in the green bar on the gauge on the left. That's going to give you a perfect launch, which is actually going to give you money at the end of the race. Looking around the screen as you race, you can see at the very top left, there's your progress percentage. That's going to show you how much of the race you've completed. On the top right, you can see your position and how long you've been racing. And on the bottom right, you can see your speed in kilometers per hour. Unfortunately, there's no way to convert this into imperial units, so if you're used to reading things in miles per hour, you better learn how to convert if you want to play this game. As you can see, that race only lasted for 37 seconds. When you gave up 1/5 of all the assets you have for a 37-second race, I think that's kind of dumb, especially for a game that is centered around racing. At the end of every race, you're going to see this screen, which is going to show you how much money you made. We got $250 for our perfect launch, 1 near miss for $100, and 0.43 seconds of airtime for 25, totaling $375. Was that what that said? Here's our leaderboard, and now we're going to see our rep level. We are in 25 rep, and we have 75 more to get to our second rep level. The higher your rep level, the higher performance parts you're going to get for your car. Here we can claim our material reward, which is going to be a flywheel, which is a fairly common material. Tyler's going to come in here, explain that what we got was a material, and now we can hop back into our garage and take a look at exactly what goes into upgrading your car when you get a material. In all honesty, it's fairly simple. Here is an ad that's going to be popping up sometimes on your phone. We'll talk about in-app purchases later, but this is basically the only one I have ever seen in my time playing this game. Back to upgrading your car. On the top left-hand corner, you're going to see the little car icon for your garage with an up arrow next to it. We can click on that, and we can find the car that has the up arrow next to it. That's the one that can be upgraded. Clicking on that, and you can also see which part in that car can be upgraded. In this case, it's the engine, and inside the engine, the flywheel can be upgraded. Clicking on a part that can be upgraded will show you what material you need, in this case a flywheel, what improves, in this case it's our top speed by 87, how many of that material you have available, and if you don't have any, at the very bottom, it shows you exactly where you can find this material. Clicking install will take our one flywheel and $350 and upgrade our engine. Tyler jumps in here to talk to us a little bit more about materials, and that is basically the gist of it. Kim says what I've been saying earlier about the higher your rep, the higher performance parts you're going to get for winning races. The only way to increase your rep is to race. And that's about it for this game. We're going to take just a couple of seconds and look around this screen right here at all the different options you have. At the very top left, where that map pin is going to take you to the map. Right now we have 3 places open: the garage, the underground, and the store. Yes, this app does have in-app purchases, but that means there's no ads. In fact, the only ads you'll actually see are the ones we saw just a second ago for in-app purchases themselves, and those are pretty unobtrusive. In fact, that's the only one I've ever seen when playing this game. As you get your rep level higher and higher, you can unlock other places around the map as well. Next to the map icon is the garage icon, which we spent quite a bit of time in. In here you can just upgrade and build cars. Next to that is your settings icon. In here you can change your controls, turn music and sound effects on and off. Under data management you have the option to upload and download data, which means if you need to switch devices but you want to carry over your saved game to that device, you can upload the data from your device you're playing on and download it on your new device and continue playing from where you left off. You can also disable or enable notifications. I like to leave them disabled just because they just basically are there to entice you to play or to tell you that your gas has been refueled. You can also sign in right here with Google Play Games. On the right side, it's license agreements, terms of service, support, and credits. Next to the settings icon is a drop-down menu with achievements on it. By completing achievements such as winning 12 races, nitro boosting for 60 seconds, or winning 3 races in car series, you can get rewards such as gold and reputation points. Right now, aside from buying gold, I've found that this is the only way you can get it. So far in my races, I haven't actually won any sort of gold, and I'm not sure if that's ever going to be a reward that you can win. On the top right-hand corner, we have several other icons. First up with the crown is your rep level. The orange bar shows you how far you are to your next level, and the number shows you what level you are on. Right now, we're rep level 1. Next to that is your money. We have $5,025. That's important for upgrading your car. Next to the money is how much gold you have. And as I said earlier, the only way I think you can get more gold is by completing those assignments or by clicking that plus button and coughing up some actual money to get some real gold, to get some virtual gold in this game. Why is gold important? For gas. Right next to the gold is the gas. We have 8 out of 10 right now, and clicking on that, you can see that we'll either get refueled in about 4 minutes, or we can refill our tank right now for 30 gold. So if you burn through all of your gas and you don't want to wait, you're going to have to cough up some money because you only have 20 gold and you need at least 30 to refill your tank. I don't like it, but to be honest, this is kind of the best way to do in-app purchases. This is definitely not a pay-to-win type of game. It's just more of a pay-to-play more type of game, which I guess is better than the other alternative. Most people don't like in-app purchases, but I feel like if they're going to do it, this is the best way. At least you can still play and win and enjoy the game without really having to use the in-app purchases at all. All in all, Need for Speed No Limits is a fantastic game. It's fun to play, the graphics are good enough, And the file size is small enough that anyone who's worried about taking up a lot of space on their phone, whether they just don't want to use up that much space or they don't have that much to begin with, it's a great game. You can actually download it right now for free on the Play Store. Thank you again for watching this first 10-minute look of Need for Speed No Limits. Make sure to hit that like button if you like what you saw. I'm Henry Weigel with Android Guys, and I will see you later.